So this is my first update video on my TDI conversion for my 1984 Vanagon Westfalia. Car has 165,000 miles on it, just getting broken in. I drove it around, runs mint, engine strong, no issues, no leaks, none of that. I'm just letting it warm up. I'm gonna start kind of taking all the components off of the motor before I drop it out the bottom and slide it out. Okay, so I spent the past couple months sourcing parts for the AHU TDI, and now it's about time to come and drop the motor. So I'm going to take out all the components, make sure all the wires are all detached, and then drop it. There's a bunch of tutorials online how to do that. Over here is the AHU TDI. On this side, this isn't the way it's going to be sitting. As you can see, the right side engine bar, it's going to be at a 50-degree angle, so it'll be about that location, guesstimating. We did a timing belt, everything, new water pump. Found this LT 2.8 mechanical injection pump from Europe. Carl Mollendorf builds them here in the States, but was currently out of the parts to build one. And on a Facebook forum, he sent me to an eBay, a European eBay. Thanks to Will Pool, there is a company in Kentucky that makes these aluminum fittings. And so I got that, put the sensor in, here's GB's silicone hose, inlet and outlet. I also got the plastic original diesel, Vanagon diesel outlet. But it's not aluminum, it's plastic, but it's pretty good build quality. I got that from Brickworks. Here is the oil cooler, the bigger oil cooler. I think it was like 20 bucks on eBay. It's a little bit bigger. I'd say the stock one was like this size. Here's the engine mount and the way it's mounted. The AHU originally wasn't mounted with these bolts, so they were pretty seized up and I had to tap them, which wasn't an issue. Just had to get the correct one, correct thread, and bing bang boom. Another thing to note is this oil feed line to the turbo is usually hard line. Kerma TDI makes this stainless steel flex hose thing. JT on YouTube, thank you. Watched your video like 10,000 times. He pointed me into the direction to get this so I can delete this extra serpentine setup and just make it simple. I didn't want power steering, any of that. This is a 1984 Vanagon. It has manual steering and I love it. What I had to do was get a new serpentine belt, and JT pointed me to this size belt. Here's the oil pan, along with a brand new oil pump. I got the fast engine conversion kit. They're out of Maine. Getting the oil return line from there. Here's my EGT gauge. Okay, this like intake exhaust setup was a long time and a lot of money. This AAZ exhaust manifold is from Europe. It's the actual 3-hole pattern. The reason you get this is to flip the turbo so it clears this engine mount when it's mounted. I haven't mounted it yet. This bolts right on. This is a brand new hybrid K03, K04 turbo. Going to be installing, like I said, the oil return line. And I got the PD 130 intake manifold with the Allard EGR delete intake. Pretty slick setup, great quality. This thing came with a bunch of carbon, which was typical, and one thing to note too was the intake ports had a ton of carbon. I don't know if it's the right way to do it or not, but the way I did it was I took a pick and I had a vacuum just like a dentist, and I slowly just picked it out and cleaned out a lot of chunks, going into the intake manifold. Well, the intake, but the intake manifold had a bunch too, and I just cooked it with a torch, banged it around, threw some screws in here, and I got a lot of carbon out of there. But compared to the stock one that comes on an AHU, it's a lot bigger and has a lot better flow. I don't have nozzles yet, but I plan to in the future. I figure this is an upgrade I can do later on. So that's it. That's what's going on with the motor. In here is the adapter plate and the flywheel. Okay, at this stage of the TDI conversion, I have the motor out. Took some time, but it wasn't bad. I just took my time, kind of labeled everything and just triple checked to make sure it wasn't connected to anything. And I separated the tranny from the engine last night and just starting to clean it up a little bit. But first things first, it's like a bomb went off in here. So we're gonna do some cleaning up and then go from there. Okay, so I pulled the bell housing, well, the case of the transmission off, whatever it's called, to replace the input shaft. And I'm draining out the previous fluid, which I changed about a year ago, and it looks to be in very good shape. I had some issues with this myself, is replacing the input shaft. Okay, this is how it normally is. Right here. This is what happens when you open it up. So gasket here. Definitely replace this gasket. And I'm going to pull this out and kind of show you how this works. You're going to take this circle clip and move it as far forward as you can towards you. And then you're going to take, which I use is a little pick. And I hooked around here in the back and pulled it forward towards me, exposing this joint here. Once this is unlocked, you're able to turn it. And to loosen it, you're going to be going counterclockwise. And the way I locked it into position is the ring and pinion here. I believe that's what it is. There's a little window right there. And I slid it all the way out. It's probably not the way to do it, but it's not too much force on that thread for the input shaft, and I just kind of locked it in place to keep this from rotating. I think the real way to do it is to lock both those, but that's how I did it. One quick thing is I'm working on the transmission bushing, and I had to remove it and I replaced it with a power flex. So it just kind of dry rotted, and while it's in there, it's going to replace it. I don't know, Black Sabbath. So I'm a backyard Billy and used this vise with this after drilling this out, because this isn't a sleeve inside of here. So I drilled around to kind of loosen this shit, press it through, you know, using this and the vice grip. And then push it through, and then from there I just kind of heated it up to kind of break the bonds, and then I kind of pounded it out. And then I took a jigsaw, and as you can see there's a sleeve, and I cut through. So there you go, Backyard Billy transmission fix.